Sir Alec Greedy is the commuter engine for the Fat Controller's Railway. He shuttles up and down the main line, stopping at each station to pick up and let off passengers. Greedy is a very polite and proper locomotive, and feels mocking others is unbecoming of an engine of his status. He is a sir, after all. One morning, Percy came bustling into the big station with a confused look on his face. Greedy smiled at the little tank engine. "Greetings, Percy. What seems to be on your mind?" Yes, Henry said you're called Sir because you sneezed on the King of England." Greedy snorted. "You don't actually believe that, do you?" "Oh, well, no, but it did make me wonder. Why are you called Sir?" The big engine smiled, remembering days long past. "Well, my dear Percy, I was knighted by the King of England for saving his life." "What? When was this?" "Oh, it happened a long time ago. I have to go now, but I'll fill you in later if you're still interested. Farewell, Percy." And the great big engine steamed away, leaving Percy most excited. Percy spent the rest of the day eagerly awaiting Sir Alec Greedy's return to the shed. He even switched shifts with Neil so he could hear the story as soon as possible. Finally, at 8 o'clock, Sir Alec Greedy backed into the sheds. "So, why are you called Sir?" "Ho ho, you don't forget a thing, do you, Percy? He's been chatting our ears off about it all evening." "Very well, listen closely." And this was the story Greedy told. Long, long ago, I worked on a railway that stretched right across England. At first, I ran goods services between Doncaster and Liverpool, as well as a special night train. I was built in 1904, and was one of the most modern engines at the time. I greatly outperformed the smaller engines of the day. As such, I was promoted to an express passenger engine only 2 years after I was built. I loved my work and made friends with everyone, even engines from other regions. I was living the life until what? Let the engine speak, you idiot. Until the war. Everything changed when the Great War broke out. A lot of my friends were conscripted off to fight. A lot of them never came back from France. I was relegated once again back to goods work, to move industrial material down to Southampton docks. This is where a lot of soldiers were being transported to France to fight. But how does any of this relate to you being knighted? Percy, he's getting there. Yes, quite. The day I earned my knighting came like any other. I woke up at Southampton docks after pulling a night train from Liverpool. It was April 1915, the Scarborough raid had just been a few months ago, and the fear of more raids made essential goods trains switch to nighttime runs. I arrived at the ferry dock station to find my friend Geoffrey waiting with an empty troop train. He yawned. "Long night?" I asked. "Yes, quite. I had to bring a train from Liverpool to Cardiff, and then these chaps all the way here." "Couldn't a Westerner have done it?" "None were available. Apparently this slot was very important." "I can see why. Look at Amanda." My colleague Amanda pulled in carrying a few smart-looking coaches. "Morning, boys. Fancy meeting the king?" We watched in awe as King George V came out of the coach. The men on the troop ship cheered him as he climbed aboard. "All nice and well, but I have a hospital train that needs to be taken back. Good day, fellas." "Yes, and I have to go and get ready for my next train." No time to sleep. "No rest for the weary old fellow," I called after Geoffrey. "What are we doing first, driver?" We'll be taking a fast train up to York in about an hour. We just need to wait here for a little bit first. Marvellous. I settled into a siding nearby the ferry ship the king was inspecting troops on. I could hear a brass band start playing as I settled in for a snooze. Just as I was about to fall asleep, one of the many yard shunters came up to me. Hello, chap. You mind moving? This load needs to get on that ship, and there's explosives for the war. Of course, at once. As I moved off, the other engine moved below the crane. I could see the king's ship just beyond the munitions one. I don't know how it happened, but something caught fire on the munitions ship. The alarm started going off and the crew evacuated. A man called to the tank engine, "Move off! Move off! We don't want the fire spreading!" The troop ship started blaring its horn as a tug tried to pull it out to sea. I watched as the king and his entourage fled for the station. The coaches Amanda brought was sitting in a nearby siding. I made a split-second decision. I whistled as loudly as I could. "Your Majesty! Your Majesty! Go towards those coaches! Run!" A man and his entourage heard my cries and directed the king and the rest of the party into the carriages. I quickly coupled up and left the docks. I was soon on the outskirts of the docks. I kept running as I saw a goods train barreling towards the docks. I screamed, "Fire!" I heard the engine brake, but I wasn't paying attention. I hurtled down the main line, and I didn't stop until we were at a small station in the countryside. I was red in the face and very thirsty. As my driver ran me over to a water tower, the King of England himself came over to me. That was impressive work, dear engine. Without you, me and several other prominent leaders of our country would have been in a perilous situation. I humbly thank you. I was speechless and simply uttered, "You're welcome." Two weeks later, I woke up at my home sheds in Leeds. I had been reunited with Geoffrey. I was surprised to see a group of men walking towards me. I was even more surprised to see the king himself among them. Good morning, your majesty. What brings you to these dirty goods yards at this hour? Alid Greedy, I wanted to issue my deepest gratitude for your service a few weeks ago. As a thank you, I decided to award you with an honor only 2 other locomotives have been given. He walked over with his sword and tapped me on my buffer beam. Alid Greedy, I hereby knight thee into the Honourable Order of St. George. As your engine, you don't have to rise. Welcome to the order, Sir Alid Greedy. I thanked him profusely for the honour. Oh, Geoffrey was jealous. And what happened after that? Oh, I was shifted back to passenger work. A year later, in 1916, I was loaned to the NWR to help with a locomotive crisis. I ended up staying on after the war and was given to the NWR in 1921 as part of the grouping. And we were glad for your help too, Sir Greedy, Edward said. Yes, you sound like you really deserve your title. Indeed, you must be one of the bravest engines I know. Sir Alid Greedy chuckled. That, coming from James and Percy, was high praise indeed.